Today I have such a fun project to share with you. I am going to show you the work of an artist named Clare Youngs. And Clare Youngs is a collage artist. That means she takes all different kinds of paper and she makes them into these amazing animals. Sometimes she does other things, but we're going to look at her animals today. So this is a really great book called Animal Parade. It doesn't have a story to it. It just has a parade of amazing animals. Now, Clare Young likes to print her paper and make her own paper. So you can see that she layers it after she makes it and to create these animals. And so in her book, she has a snake and a lemur, this amazing bull. Look at these wonderful patterns that she's created. A raccoon, an aardvark, baby aardvark, so neat. These gorgeous fish. And so one of the things I would like you to do is to make yourself some Clare Young animals. And I'm going to show you a fun way to do it if you don't have painted paper at home. And sometimes we have our own paper, like we might have construction paper, or we might even have scrapbooking paper laying around, or even an old book or magazines. And you could try cutting it up to make your own animal just like this. That would be a really fun way to do that. And I'll show you one of those later. But for today, I'm going to show you how to take the Clare Young animals and create your own just using a Sharpie and some markers. And you can do it in your sketchbook, or if you have construction paper at home, I'm going to show you how you can do a simple one with that. Here we have a camel and a goose. These are my favorite animal, those giraffes. Gorilla, tortoise, and a wolf. I'm going to get to my main guy here. See where he's at. Cute elephants, wild boars. So she has every animal you can think of. Look at that bear. Toucan. But here's the guy we're going to work on today. So this wonderful lion, you can see that the shapes that she uses a lot of basic shapes. So we just have a square and a rectangle and then some thin rectangles that almost have a triangle base on them. Point. So I want you to go ahead and look at this, and then I'm going to switch it over to my paper and show you how I drew this in my sketchbook, okay? So I'm going to put him right up here. Maybe you can kind of peek at him while I show you this guy. So this is one that I drew, and I didn't draw him in my sketchbook. I drew him on a separate sheet of paper, but I want you to draw yours in your sketchbook. I drew him, he's long. So if I were in my sketchbook, I would be turning my sketchbook long, so I have a landscape of my sketchbook and not a portrait style. That way I can draw my lion on there. And you're going to notice that he's just made up of a whole bunch of really great patterns. Okay, so this is one choice that you can do. I'm going to show you how to draw him in a minute, but you can draw him right there in your sketchbook. Okay, so he's a part of your sketchbook. And then when you're done, if you wanted to, you could color him. Look at how gorgeous this guy is. All his patterns and colors all over him. So if you wanted to draw him first and then color him like this, you could. If you wanted to draw him on another sheet of paper, color him and glue him in your sketchbook, you could draw a background behind him. That's another choice. So drawing him in your sketchbook is one choice. Drawing him on a separate sheet of paper and gluing him, cutting him out and gluing him down is the next. And another choice would be drawing him on a colored sheet of construction paper and then gluing him down. I had a little friend help me make this guy today. And you could go ahead and glue him in there if you had some construction paper at home, and then you wouldn't spend all that time coloring. Or you could do both of them. Oh my goodness, the options are endless. So I'm going to show you how to draw the lion, but I also want you to think about if you go on to Google, my favorite little place, and you Google Clare Young animals. I'm going to show you her name again so you can see it. Moms and dads can look Clare Young's animals. You're going to see a whole bunch of other animals that you might want to draw after you've tried drawing your lion. And you're just going to use basic shapes to draw him. So one of my other friends this afternoon drew this one for me. Look at this. Isn't he cute? So he's just a frog drawn with the same patterns all over him. And he could be cut out and glued in here, or you could draw him in here. All right, so let's get started on drawing the lion. Let me go back to him right there. And I'm going to use it on a separate sheet of paper. That way somebody can use my sketchbook. All right, so the first thing we're going to do to draw this lion, can you see that? There we go, is we're going to draw a square. And I want to make sure my square is no bigger than my hand. So I'm going to draw a square, probably like the size of my palm. This is the palm of my hand, so I'm going to make sure it's in there. And then on the outside of it, I'm going to draw an even bigger square. And then around my square, I'm going to draw a rectangle. Can you see how his body is coming together? And then from his rectangle, I'm going to make him some legs. That was kind of a skinny leg, but you'll forgive me for that, won't you? I'm going to actually move this out of the way so I can pull my sketchbook up a little so I have some more space. There we go. So now you can see his legs. Now, you could easily draw this and cut it out, or you could make it out of paper. So you could cut out maybe some magazine picture for this part and some newspaper or an old book for this part. Don't cut the book unless you've asked your moms or dads, okay? You need to ask permission first, all right? All right, once I have these basic shapes drawn, I've drawn a square, another square, and a rectangle. I've drawn rectangular shaped legs. I'm going to move on and draw his face. Now remember, this is a video, so you can stop it at any time and catch up to where I'm at, okay? Because I am going to talk quickly. So to start his face, I'm going to draw a line across the middle of where I think his eyes should go. And they're going to go a little bit above the middle of his head. So I'm going to draw my line across there, and then I'm going to draw two droopy half circles, so they're upside down rainbows. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw some almost like eyebrows across the top. Okay? From here, I'm going to fill in his eyeballs, color them in dark. Now, I'm using a Sharpie. Remember, you don't have to use a Sharpie. If you remember how I was talking about the watercolor activity that we did with our backgrounds, so remember when I showed you this lesson? You could do the same thing to color him on this one if you wanted to, but if you do, you have to use that Sharpie. So you could go in and use your marker, and then you could use the watercolor if you wanted to. But you have to use your Sharpie, or else the black paint, it will smear. Okay, so once you have his eyes done, we're going to do a rounded triangle for his nose, and then a perfect upside down triangle for his actual rest of his nose. So this is sort of the bridge of his nose coming down, and this would be his actual nose. Color it in. Okay, so now I'm going to give him some whiskers. So I'm going to do some really fun wispy whiskers, but you could do straight whiskers if you wanted. They could curl. You could do more than I'm doing. He looks mysterious, like he's up to something, doesn't he? And then you can give him a smile. So you can go ahead and do that kind of design on him. I'm going to go ahead and put some more designs on his head. And you can, this is the fun part where you get to add all these different pieces. So on this guy, you can see I put lines across his head, but you don't even have to do that though if you wanted to. Give him little triangles here, or little arrows, V's. You could do that. Kind of looks like he has mini hearts on him, doesn't he? So you could do something like that. And then you're going to decorate the inside. This is going to be his mane. So you can see on this one, I did loops. But maybe I'll show you a different way to do that. On this, you could go ahead and do something more like this. These are leaves almost, right? So I'm going to go through and put all of these in here. I want to take my time, so don't go as fast as I'm going. Remember, stop it if you need to. Or you can watch the whole video first and then go back and draw it. That's the great thing about a video, right? You can watch it over and over again if you need to. Now, the fun thing about the Clare Youngs picture that we're doing today is that you get to add your own interest to it. So I'm going to show you. When my friend helped me draw this one today, you can tell she just did ruffles around him, and then she did spikies around it, okay? So you, with these zigzags, you get to decide how you want this to look. It doesn't have to look like mine. You get to decide what you want for him. Okay, once I have him done, I mean, if I wanted to go back in here, I could give him little lines in here. You really get to do whatever you want to. But remember, if you're gonna color it, it might take you a while to color, but that's okay, because he will be so beautiful when he's done. All right, so I'm just going around and around. Okay, so when I'm finished with this, I'm going to go ahead and draw some boxes. So if you notice, I'm just going to draw some lines as straight as I can across his body. And then I'm going to break that into boxes. Now inside these boxes, I'm going to put as many different patterns as I can. Remember, a pattern is when we repeat something over and over again. So for instance, I might put stripes in here, or polka dots, or just little dots, zigzags. And you can repeat things over if you want to. When I was drawing mine, I have a few boxes where I just did lines. And I repeated this pattern over and over again. So you can do that. You're also going to want to put some patterns on his legs. So for instance, you could come through. I want to give him some toes. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and just start giving him patterns, because that's really what makes him look great. I'm going to add on a tail here, just a little circle. And you can, again, make it however you want it to be. And just go through now and start adding some different patterns. And you really want to take your time with this, because the more time you take and the neater you do, the more excited you'll be with the outcome. So it will turn out better for you if you really take your time drawing him. Okay, now if you do not have a Sharpie at home, you can use a black crayon. Because remember, black crayons act sort of the same way that a Sharpie might. It just doesn't have as fine lines. You don't have that ability to do that. So my goal is that I would fill in the rest of his body, and then he would end up looking like this one right here. Now, if I'm doing this in my sketchbook, I would just go ahead and color him in my sketchbook. If I'm doing it on another sheet of paper, then I could go ahead and cut him out, and I could glue him down. Maybe I have 2 of them. And maybe then I flip my pages and I do one on some colored paper that my family has at home. And then maybe I'm even more adventurous and I decide to do another animal, because I went online and looked up Clare Young's artwork and I drew that. Maybe when I do this, I'm going to draw the whole background on here and draw a whole bunch of different pieces. All right? Okay, I hope you have a great time working on this. I want you to go back and look at my samples if you need help. Have fun, and I look forward to seeing what you've put in your sketchbook when you get back.